Hey guys, I can't fit just how ludicrous this whole setup is in the frame right now, but we're looking at a viewer submitted unknown tactical tailor armor carrier. I don't know what armor exactly. I think interceptor armor, the full coverage armor prior to IOTVs, but I don't know. I don't have any on hand to check fitment. It almost looks a little concealment cut LPAC-ish armor, but that doesn't seem right either. So we'll get on the table and take a look at it, but it's gigantic. So it has a really goofy cummerbund, which I can't get in frame right now, attached via malice clips and side release buckles all around. I'm sure this answered somebody's need at some point in time, but it appears unsized. It has features that don't seem to do anything, and it's really weird. If you didn't watch the intro on Instagram, this is not throwing any shade at Tactical Tailor. I really like them as a company, but I think they had kind of a weird transition period where they got in the commercial gear game really early and were doing great things, like the MAV chest rig, especially the split front, a lot of their pouches. As far as I know, Tactical Tailor had one of the first shingles out there for making ammo carriage make a little bit more sense and more user-friendly. And then they had this goofy middle ground where they just had some really strange designs that I'm not quite sure who they catered to. And now they're kind of back to getting up to kind of modern standards. And some of their new stuff is really cool. Old stuff was really cool. New stuff is really cool. Middle ground didn't make a ton of sense, and this is a really good example of it. So it looks like it's pulling up and choking me. That's because I only have a back plate in it. I was trying to figure out the plate pocket, and it's really goofy. But let's get on the table and take a better look at it, because it's so big I can't fit the whole thing in frame. All right, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble, so I'm not going to drop any names, but I did reach out to some folks to try to figure out just what was going on here, because I had never seen this thing before, or I had seen it on the website and had no interest because it just didn't seem to meet any of my needs. But this is very clearly Tactical Tailor. This is the only label I have been able to find on here. And I don't know much more. All right, so looking at the front panel, you can see just how massive this thing is. Now, I don't think it's an IOTV cover, and I don't have any IOTV armor handy. I just have bulks, and this very clearly isn't bulks. So if you guys think this looks like it fits IOTV inserts, let me know, and that might make it make more sense, because I think if you're stuck with that armor, this may or may not be a more functional carrier for you. I kind of doubt that it's more functional because it has some really odd stuff going on, but it might be. All right, so it's massive. You've got 8 columns all the way up at the bib, down to 12 columns on the wings. The cummerbund attaches with these 4 side release buckles, which are repair buckles, so you can move them to get the cummerbund to marry up. The cummerbund is kind of a split front configuration, so I'm not quite sure if that's what you're going to want to do. It's really going to fight you if you're at all smaller with getting mags up front and kind of keeping them up front. And you do have Velcro field up top for patches. I don't know if maybe this was marketed towards law enforcement using surplus armor. Not sure. And I can't speculate too much because I just don't know. You've got this Velcro out here on the sides, which you would think would help it marry up with armor coming around from the back, but there's no Velcro there. And there's no Velcro on the cummerbund. So unless you have an aftermarket cummerbund or something that uses that, I don't know. I don't know what it's for. And if you're, my size or smaller, so right around 200 pounds, 5'10", if you had an aftermarket cummerbund that used this Velcro, like this is pretty far off your flank to be messing around with trying to pull Velcro, especially if you have experienced shoulder joints. All right, so that's the front plate bag, and I've got plates in the rear plate bag, so we won't even mess around with this one too much. You can see on the inside it is all slick, just pack cloth with a flap, and we'll explore the plate bag more on the back. All right, flipping this over, this has one of the worst cummerbund setups I think I've ever experienced. So the Grey Ghost kind of premium plate carrier uses malice clips to tie in the cummerbund on the rear, which I don't like as an option at all. But I think, from what I remember, it did it better. I think there was some stretch somewhere in that setup. I just don't remember where off the top of my head. This one has no stretch at all. These are fixed with 2 short malice clips on either end of the cummerbund, and you have to use essentially the end of the cummerbund to mount it. So you could get this thing pretty large if you wanted to by spreading this out, or you could have a real goofy overlap going on where you offset the cummerbund and then mount the other half to the cummerbund. So you could take up a lot of slack that way and have essentially no cummerbund left over when it wraps around you, which is an option that may make this thing more usable. That said, the cummerbund has these massive side plate pockets in it, which are unruly as all get out. This pocket takes up 7 columns of moly, so that is a huge side plate pocket, and it's taller than a 4-row cummerbund. You have another 2 inches or so at the bottom of this thing. Like, you would not find a side plate that would not fit in this pocket, but it's not going to fit well. It's just going to swim and float around and do kind of whatever the hell it wants to. You also, to its benefit, or to its, you know, yay for Tactical Tailor, with this not being fixed and the front using side release buckles, you have essentially all the freedom in the world to raise or lower this cummerbund wherever you want to try to help offset on the plates. Trying to find silver linings where they exist. Right, this plate carrier, or this cummerbund, is really bad. You can see how excessive the straps are coming off the side release portion of this. I would, to get this tight on me without soft armor in it, because I don't know what cut that is, and without a plate, I would essentially have to have those side release buckles up front touching like I do the cummerbund in the back. So I think overlap with some inherent bulk on the back is kind of going to be the necessary setup. You do have this drag handle up top with a little Velcro tab to keep that kind of tucked away, because you wouldn't want this thing getting unruly on you. And then the internals of your plate pocket here are really strange. I'm going to try to keep this in frame and probably fail, but you guys will get the gist of it. All right, so obviously there's some soft armor that goes with this. We just don't know what cut right now. All right, so you've got this first flap here, which gives you access to the soft armor area, and then inside there is another very nicely sized flap. I believe this thing is unsized and probably can take up to XL soft armor and hard plates, but I don't have XL or large to confirm that with. All right, once you open up this internal pocket, there is a strap in here, which I wanted to say was for raising the plates. Now, I didn't have any issues getting the plates as high as they could go in the pocket and then securing them. They're pretty snug in there. You can crank down this flap pretty well. But this strap, you know, I've kind of got it right now configured to help dump the plates, which is not a feature that I'm worried about having. But it is a really long strap with some hook Velcro on it that doesn't seem like, nowhere in here is there a loop that it makes sense to marry that up to. If you tuck your plates all the way in the plate pocket, there's really not enough hook to make that interaction make sense. But I guess you could, and then fold this flap down on it, and then have this like dangling, so that if you, maybe there's just enough slack there. I don't think there would be with soft armor in here, but maybe there's just enough slack that you could have that tail kind of hanging out. And if you really needed to ditch everything, you could yank this and it would essentially open both flaps and pull your plates out. I'm going to say that's what it's for, because it's the only way that it makes any sense, and that would almost be a win on this thing. But I just don't know. Right, you can kind of see that would kind of do it. Maybe if I had plates in there, it would be enough to pull those and dump it, but I doubt it. Right. So that's kind of it on this thing. The shoulder straps are there. They're really not worth writing home about. They have this kind of super crude wraparound with a little bit of padding in it, and then they're just a Velcro tensioner, which, like, I don't know, is as big as the rest of this thing is. I'm glad they have such a little strap there, which I guess is maybe another small win. I'm not really sold on that, but you do have some adjustment. There's nowhere to tuck it if you don't need it. You could pull it tight and secure it down here if you run out of loop up here, which would work, I guess. The shoulders really weren't too far off on me from what I could tell. I would maybe take a little bit of slack out, probably not enough to really engage with this, but yeah, I don't know. I appreciate the gentleman that sent this to me to try to figure out, but really it's a mystery to me. I mean, there's just Velcro that seemingly goes nowhere, like this. I don't know what that's for. This setup on securing the cummerbund is awful. The sizing on the cummerbund is pretty terrible. Like, I don't know why you would ever need 4 rows of cummerbund, especially since they're already willing to have the plate pocket hang down. Just have more plate pocket hanging down. I'm really not sure. But there you go. Mystery Tack Taylor armor carrier. Thanks, guys.